Can I invite our three speakers to come up front? We'll have in the interest of time, we'll have a brief question and answer session. So for those with questions, please come to the microphone, introduce yourself, and if you can, be succinct and direct with your question. So yes.
Hello, yeah, good afternoon. Thank you so much for the three of you. It was a very enlightening presentation. My question actually goes to Dr. Terrado because you mentioned a lot about off-grid electrification. I was just wondering if the Philippines already has data, for example, in mapping out the potential renewable energy in the different areas of the country with regards to availability, for example, within a year in terms of, for example, hydro, biomass, and all that stuff.
Yes. Right now, the most applicable almost all over is solar PV.
Is
Solar
okay.
photovoltaics, right? And the reason is, number one, the rapid drop in cost of solar. When I was here in 1978, it's about 60 cents per peak watt. Now it's less than $1, right? So all over the world. So the other advantage of solar is you don't really need much data. Especially in the Philippines, you put it almost anywhere. As long as you don't put it inside your house, it's going to produce energy, right? I have done a lot of wind and hydro also in my career. And the problem with this is you need a lot of data, right? For example, you don't want to do hydro with less than a year of data.
Yeah.
You want to know if the water there will be there all year or will only be there for 3 months, right? You want to know the flow rate, you want to know the head. And you must not know it only by one measurement, but like per year. At the World Bank, we don't fund any megawatt level wind projects unless they have like 5 years of data,
Information.
right? For hydro also, remember hydro takes a long time to develop. I have developed small hydros in Guatemala, Nicaragua. 50 kilowatt took like 3-4 years because of the environmental clearances, etc. You have to send people in the field. So in the end, it's not really just a question of what is your preferable resource, but what is the one that makes the most practical sense, right? In the Philippines, yes, there are many areas. For example, they have now large wind farms and so on. I do not discourage people from, say, biomass, right? Because there are many areas where it's almost ready. But if you have to start from scratch, it's a long way to go. And these are very practical considerations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I have a quick question. What is the core of a multidisciplinary education? A number of you mentioned the importance of interdisciplinarity. For you, what do you think would be the core of this? Since there are many disciplines, so how would you? What would be the core of such a type of education, Chris?
Well, I'm biased, of course, but I think there should be a framework, and that framework is data. For example, maybe just to follow up on Dr. Ernesto's statement, with data, even if our specialization is not on renewable energy or electrification, our students, looking at the more than 40,000 K-12 students, we realized that our students, our data scientists, were able to crunch the numbers and realize that the most important predictor of NAT, the National Achievement Test of the students, is actually not the student-teacher ratio, but electrification, the amount of electricity in a given municipality. So most of this multidisciplinary thing will, of course, always starts with data. But again, as in any scientific endeavor, it always starts with a question and data. Those should be the core.
Right now, in chemistry, the ACS, and I'm in the committee of developing or innovating the new chemistry programs. The biggest problem now is the chemistry programs that are running now are geared to produce professors. And that seems to be not the paradigm. There is more people, students going to industry, going to business, and their training in chemistry allows them to give the thinking skills, but then the soft skills are not there. So what the American Chemical Society is trying to tell us is we should teach our students additional soft skills, particularly for those who want to go to industry, who want to go a non-academic career, which is now should be an option for chemistry PhD students. And that's sort of what we're trying to develop now is what can we do? And one of the things we've started is for them to take technology courses. So we now are in a trying to come up with a, they call it the technology management course, which is a 1 year, 2 semester course. And that is in addition to their core chemistry courses, wherein then they are going to be taught in the technology how to manage a technology project. And that becomes important when they go to industry.
Okay, thank you.
My question is for Dr. Guloy. Among the three the three methods by which you can train PhD students, would you think which one is the best among them?
Oh, the 3 tracks?
Yes, that's right.
Based on the results, the traditional one, what the Chinese did is actually the best. Wherein they send a student. The students come into our department. They take the courses what the American students take. They have an advisor. They get the degree, and all paid for by the university. And they finish earlier because the problem with the joint PhD, which we encountered, is take a lot more longer. They take an additional 1 to 2 years because they have to satisfy University of the Philippines requirements that are different. Okay, so we try to match as much. That's one of the reasons why it took a really long time. It had to go to the university council because they had to narrow down what courses and what credit hours are going to match, and it took a while. And when it finally it was approved, the resulting hybrid was that the student spent 2 years in UP to take the courses.
Yeah, but then with Chinese,
And then they go to Houston to do the research. But then, research is, you cannot say it's going to be 3 years. Because what happens is they go to Houston expecting to finish in 3 years. But there's a learning curve, which they never had. They take all the courses here, no experiment. Then they go to Houston. So it turned out that they would take them an additional 4.5 years to finish, instead of total of 5.
but with Chinese, they don't. Brain drain is not really a problem. Well, it is in the Philippines, I think. And the sandwich program, where they get the degree from the UP, I think it's a more feasible strategy. Would you not think so? Because they are forced to come home and defend their thesis.
What we saw in the sandwich program is the restriction that they have to finish in 12 months or maximum 18 months. And I remember when I left IBM, my supervisor told me the role of the university is to train good graduate students. That industry, we need good problem solvers. And how do you develop these good problem solvers? To give them difficult problems. And what happens is you can't really do a really good PhD research in 18 months. It's just not feasible.
But then it's not the whole PhD research. Partial part of them will be done in the Philippines and part in the
US.
Yes.
I mean, I'm just basing our experience with what has happened. The 18-month sandwich program is good for the engineering college because they love, as you can see in my graph, we only had one or two program student in chemistry. All the rest were in engineering. And it's easier to find an engineering problem that you can solve in 1.5 years. Or possibly what happens is the advisor can add additional 6 months support to 2 years. But in chemistry, it's really hard. It's really hard to come up with a very, very good problem, a difficult problem wherein the student is going to start from scratch, do it, go through the entire process. It's just difficult. That can be done in Germany, for example, because in Europe, and that's one of the reasons, or that's one of the things that I really took into account, was I never pushed the student to join a group wherein I know how the group is managed. It's like a car shop, wherein we'll do the first step, the next do the second step, the third step. That's not going to work. That's not a graduate program. That's not a good graduate training.
The assumption is when they go to sandwich program, half of the research have been done, the basic parts have been done in the Philippines.
Yes, I think
Because
that's true with the engineering. That's why I'm saying it really is geared more for the engineering departments rather than the basic sciences.
Because I have had several PhD students who
Yes.
work that way, and it worked
Yes,
well. They're doing well.
It worked well with the engineering program. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
This one goes. By the way, I'm Gerard Dianza from the Department of Education. This goes to Dr. Monterola of the AIM. Just a quick question. You mentioned about I think you mentioned about scholarships and whatnot. How does a government how does a government employee like myself qualify for that particular what you call that? Sorry, for the program on big data and whatnot.
Well, first, you need to pass our exam to be able to go into the program. We have exams on linear algebra, calculus, etc. Right now, we are way oversubscribed. So you need to pass that exam. Definitely merit-based. Second, I see David is around. Is he around? Okay.
Yes.
The OST, specifically, they have programs for AI. So you can ask them to nominate you. Third, okay, your company can actually sponsor you. So Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, for instance, they have sent 10 of their employees, but only 4 of them pass the exam. So these 4 employees, and they are leading various departments at Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, are all fully sponsored by BSP. And MSU IIT. So MSU IIT, they want to have a data science program in Mindanao. So we are helping their professors. So their professors and students for AIM. NU, National University, they want to, it's like SM, they want to expand NU 3 universities every year. And any of their professors who can pass our exams, they are happy to sponsor them.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so a special request from Dr. Castañeda. Ito na yung huling tanong.
For Dr. Monterola, yeah, okay. I was amazed at your presentation about smart Singapore, okay, that you're working on. I was just thinking, because there are very few students taking up data science. It's a difficult field, and very few in the Philippines have that, expertise. If in the AIM, is it possible that the students, I don't know if it's a thesis or a special project for each of the students, to work on the real problems we have right now? For example, how many cars are stalled in Manila every day that prevents the traffic? How many excavations are done to give policy recommendations to government? No? The traffic problem is a very big problem that we have right now. I understand in Singapore, medyo maayos pang Singapore, so there's not much of a problem. But here, it's a reality, and we know that we are wasting so much money every day because of being late in the office and all these problems. I wonder if I could just propose that your students, since they are the experts in that field, work on real problems like this.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, we are doing that po. you can go to our site and you can look at all the problems that our students are solving, including, okay, some of the more controversial problems, like, for example, Dingbaksha vaccines. Has it actually impacted those population who've been vaccinated by such? Problems on traffic, as all these things, Bob. Right now, roughly, we are looking, maybe we already have done more than 100 plus problems. And most of these problems are related to the society. So, eventually po, ipapakita po, actually, nasa site po namin yung ilan sa mga problems na yon. So, it's not just solving problems, but it's also generating data. So, we have cleaned the DepEd data. I think we have the cleanest data for education. We have in our server, it was given to us by NAMRIA, data on the vulnerability of all the locations in the Philippines. And yung question nga na tinatanong ninyo, the idea of the economic cost, this is very important, the economic cost of the delays resulting from building this road. While you are building this road, what is the economic cost of doing those things? So, lahat po ito are among the motivations of our students. If you talk to these students, makikita nyo po na isa sa eventually na imbibe nila na core because maybe because of the professors at AIM is nation building, especially developing nation. It's not just in the Philippines, but the developing nations along Asia.
The number of students that are reading now, wala nang nagbabasang estudyante. In most of the schools all over the country, it's a phenomenon we're experiencing. They don't read. That's why they cannot communicate, they cannot write good papers. And the other thing is the English, what do you call this? It's terrible. I mean, we'd like the students to speak either in straight English or straight Filipino, but do not mix it, Taglish, because I think the effects on our education is really bad.
Okay, thank you for that observation. I think we all know it. Okay, on that note, please join me to thank our three speakers for a very engaging discussion.
Thank you very much to our afternoon panel on frontier strategies and R&D applications as showcases of success. Thank you everyone for your presence today for Day 1, Empowering Academics and R&D in Universities as Hubs of R&D and Innovation Ecosystems of the 2-day PAASE Volunteerism to promote Philippine science, engineering, and innovation.